What is up, y'all? It is your girl Jazz from All That Jazz. I wanted to come here and do a little part 2 of the 30s video. This is for those in their 20s. I just want to give a few little tidbits of wisdom, information, and honestly, I mean, is it for the 20s? Sure, but I think it could really be applicable to basically any age. And so, yeah. With that said, I have no list and I have no order of operation, but these are just things that I feel like have been beneficial for me, and that I've, seen be a blessing to myself and other people. So the first thing that I would say is putting your relationship with God first in your life. I think that this has really been the biggest blessing of my entire life, is obviously walking with God, but I feel like especially walking with him young. I got serious about my walk with God at 21, and I honestly feel like because of that decision, God saved me from so many things that just not, it would have been a waste of my time, it would have been heartbreak, it would have been so many things. And I think to spend my 20s seeking after him, there was no wasted time in that. I wasted probably time in other things, but I didn't waste time in him. And one thing that I love is that when you entrust something to God, you pray and you ask him and you place the thing in his hands, you really allow him to direct your path. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5-6 says, in all of your ways acknowledge the Lord and he shall direct your path. And I think right before that it says, lean not to your own understanding, but in all of your ways acknowledge the Lord and he shall direct your path. And I think that there's so many instances in life where we could feel the temptation to lean to our own understanding, right? It could be, God, I really feel like this job would be good for me. I have countless stories, and I'll probably have to make some videos about them, but the intent behind this is to be impactful, but also be succinct. But like, I have plenty of stories and instances where I wanted a specific thing. I was after a certain thing, and I prayed, and I really felt the leading from God to do something completely different. And on the outside, the decision seemed so clear. It seemed like it was in favor of whatever thing was in front of me. And through praying, God said no. I was like, God, I don't understand. There have been quite a few situations where I've gone back and I'm like, God, I don't understand why you said no about X, Y, and Z. It looked good. It seemed right. It didn't seem like anything was wrong with it. And over time, God revealed to me that was not my will. And not only that, there was more behind that thing. God has revealed things to me through dreams. I remember, this is one I will give a little tidbit about. There was a man I was dating. He really, really wanted to get married to me. And he hadn't asked me to marry him yet, but he did bring up marriage. And he was really adamant, like, hey, that's the direction that I'm trying to go in with you. And I remember the first mention of him bringing it up. This was shortly after we were dating. We had maybe dated 2 months, and he, brought this up. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable and like nervous. And I think some of that was me, that God had to heal me from things that I was dealing with and my fear of commitment, fear of marriage, and all of that. But I also just felt really off with him. And I don't know if I, felt like it was too early or what. I couldn't tell you, but I just felt uncomfortable. Long story short, we ended up breaking things off. We didn't date, but we still kept in contact, and we were friends for probably about another year. And as a year goes past, I'm like, God, okay, we're still in each other's lives. I still get along with him pretty well. I loved his parents, absolutely loved his parents. And I'm like, I don't know, like, God, is there something in that? Should we rekindle things? And I prayed, and I sincerely brought it to the Lord. I acknowledged him in all of my ways. I didn't lean to my own understanding that said, hey, you guys still have been talking, kept a good relationship, he's a believer, you're a believer, you guys dated before. I didn't lean to my understanding. I put it before the Lord. Well, I prayed, and let's say the Lord gave me a dream. And I woke up and I knew No, I should not marry that man. No, I should not be with him, because he will move to the point of marriage and there's more behind it. Oddly enough, a year later from the time that I prayed that prayer and the Lord gave me a very clear answer. Like, I feel like the Lord gave me that dream maybe 2 weeks after I prayed. And what ended up happening, the same thing that happened in my dream happened with him in a relationship with another girl in real life. And it was like, whoa, I almost got chills when I saw that. I was like, wow, God. Like, God is all seeing, and that God obviously knows every single event that will ever happen in the history of time. But it's the fact that he showed me. I'm like, wow. So anyways, that right there is a whole testimony. But my point is, I prayed, I laid it before God, he directed my path, he showed me what I needed to see, and he obviously, like, the Lord gave me the ability to make the decision on my own. It wasn't a prohibition. Technically speaking, I could have gotten married to him. Why? Because he was a believer. And in scripture it tells us that we're able to marry anyone that we would like to, as long as they're in the faith. So I mean, there was no prohibition. However, I feel like the Lord really revealed to me that is not, there's more behind him. And that was why you felt that unease in your spirit. And so I'm thankful for how God has directed my path over the years. And if there was one piece of advice I could give to any 20-year-old, that would be it. The number one piece of advice I would say is invest fully and wholly in your relationship with God. Ask him to direct every single thing in your life. The friends you have, the jobs you choose, the route that you take on your drive, the direction, the decisions you make in your life. Seek God. That is the number one thing that I would tell you. Give your life to him. So I think it's the single most powerful thing that I could tell you. The second thing I would say as advice to those in their 20s, take care of your body. That could look like a variety of different things. That could be working out, CrossFit, running. It could be a lot of different things. Massages even. But I feel like in whatever capacity you need to be eating whole foods. Like, you hear it, but people say it because it's true. I don't care if that's chicken. I don't care if you have a no meat diet and you eat whole foods. I don't care if it's vegan. Whole foods that are unadulterated or unaltered, eat those things. What comes from the earth, what is natural, eat those things. It could be olive oil, it could be rice, it could be, and I know some people are gonna be like, no, low carb, whatever. Listen, I don't think you should overcomplicate it unless you specifically see a doctor that tells you you need to. I would just encourage you, the more whole foods that you eat, the better. The least amount of processed foods for you, the better. And I'm saying that I do still eat processed foods, but the older I've gotten and the more mindful I've been about my health and well-being, the less processed the food that I eat becomes. And I think that is just natural for your body. It's what you should be eating more of the time than not. I won't make that overcomplicated, because you're gonna have some people who say keto, some people are gonna say low to no carb, which is technically keto. You're gonna have some people that are gonna say no meat. Some people are gonna say the what's the carnivore diet. Like, you got people all over the place, and all of those technically could still be considered whole foods, because you could eat whole foods under all of those diets. But I'm not about to make it that complicated. You know what it means, and you know what's best for you and your body, just as long as it comes from natural things that God has created for us to eat. Drink lots of water. That also goes without saying, but that's a part of taking care of your body. Getting rest is a part of taking care of your body. I need to get better with this. And if there is something, I wish I could have developed better sleep habits in my 20s. I think I've had a really bad relationship with sleep over the years, and it's getting better. But I wish that I would have started sooner, because I do feel like that has impacted my memory at times, and just sometimes the lack of clarity in my mind. I think that the lack of sleep has played a huge part in that, and I wish I would have prioritized that better. This is a game changer for me personally. I would suggest It doesn't, if you are 20, start today walking. Walking is probably the number one piece of advice that I would offer to anyone about their health outside of eating whole foods and drinking water and then getting sleep. As far as exercise goes, because I know I kind of touched on that in a minute ago, and I said to exercise, there are a lot of different forms. People will suggest weightlifting and swimming and biking and all those things. They're all great in their own right. Find one, find multiple that you enjoy and do them. But the number one that I would suggest that you do literally every day is walk. I'm not even going to tell you a certain amount of steps. I'm not going to tell you a certain amount of miles or minutes. I would just suggest walking. When I was going through one of my most anxious times of my life, I walked everywhere, all day, every day. And I would pray and walk. And I would especially suggest this to Black women. And the reason why I say this is to Black women especially is because I want to give you a little tip, a tidbit. I look in the gyms, I look when I'm out and about, and I do find that it's either less Black women out doing physical things in comparison to other ethnicities, especially white women. Not that I'm comparing us like against each other, but I'm just saying the demographics that I see, we're among the least that I personally see out in a variety of different places when it comes to physical activity. And I think that there could be a lot of reasons for that. But I think as a whole, we just are not a people group that has really prioritized taking care of yourself, especially when it comes to health and appearance. Now, the reason why I would suggest walking is this. When you walk, it is the simplest way to get your body moving, which is good for your body altogether. As well as, obviously, it's good for your health. It's very minimal impact in comparison to going and weightlifting. You might have to have somebody teach you proper form. You might have to make some adjustments to learn how to weightlift. It might be more of a process. No one has to teach you how to go out there and walk. You can go in certain environments that you feel like there's a lot of people. Like right now, I'm at a lake, and it's Memorial Day. There's people everywhere. So this is a safer environment to come and walk, as opposed to maybe you don't feel comfortable walking in your neighborhood for whatever reasons. And I understand that. Get you some good music, get you a podcast. If you're a believer like myself, get you some prayer music and pray. I'm trying to fix my hair, y'all. Whatever this edge control is, I'm not a fan because it's all dry. Anyways, get you whatever you need to be motivated to come out here and have your mind distracted. Get you a pretty scenery, get you a friend with you. Like, find something else to do while you walk. So walk, and like I said, listen to a sermon. Walk and have your prayer walk. So you're praying, you're spending time with God, but you're also still taking care of your body in a very simple way, in a way that doesn't require, you don't have to have a gym membership, you don't have to have workout clothes, because that's an investment. Let's be real. If you have never worked out before like that, you may not have any of those things. But you don't need a personal trainer to come out here and do it. Just walk. Bring you a little water bottle, some headphones that are fully charged, that are safe, that you can still hear what's going on. I'm not suggesting that you have those like super. Anyways, I'm just saying, be safe, but walk. If you have lots of family members or friends that you call throughout the day, be on the phone while you're walking. Talk to your mom, your dad, your cousin, your sister, and your friend in an hour and a half when you're walking. Because otherwise, unless you're at home and you're folding clothes and you're washing dishes and you're doing errands, unless you're doing all that, why not do that while you walk? You're getting your exercise, you're taking care of yourself, and that little bit makes a huge difference. It burns extra calories. It gets you out and moving out of your home. Movement is great for your body. It's good. It's great for your mind. It's great for your mood. It's great for everything. And it's in a way that's not strenuous. And then you're going to find, watch you start losing weight. Watch you start maintaining a healthy weight. Watch you start having mental clarity. And that's all because you decided to do one thing. If there's one thing health-wise that I could suggest to any 20-year-old, especially to young Black women in their 20s, start walking. Before you go to a gym, you pay money, you buy all these cute workout clothes that cost a bunch of money, and you lift up weights that, you know, you may not know the proper form for yet. I would suggest go outside, get on the trail. Go outside, walk around your neighborhood. Go find an area where you feel safe and start walking. That is the number one piece of fitness and health related advice that I will give you. Other things to do in your 20s. Save money. I mean, that really goes without saying. You'll never be mad at yourself for putting money aside for later. You'll only ever get to a point where you'll ask yourself, why didn't I save more? So save money. And then the last thing that I can really think of is to be discerning. Be discerning of who you spend your space and time with. I'm in a place where I think I'm trying more now than I ever did to invest in the relationships in my life, to push past uncomfortable moments and communicate for the sake of salvaging and saving relationships that I otherwise would just let fall to the wayside, because I kind of took it as, if there's conflict, then that's a sign that the relationship doesn't need to be. And now I'm learning, okay, that's not true at all. You have to fight for the relationship. However, I will say, most of the people that I know who have ended up in trouble in life, and, you know, have been in jail, have just had drama or trouble in their lives, most of it is in the form of people. Honestly, I think I made another video about this before where I acknowledged, I said, honestly, if you really want to change your life, good or bad, add a person. It's not really, like, it takes years of bad decisions sometimes to catch up to you. You making bad financial decisions takes at least a year usually to catch up with you, if not 2, if not 3, if not 5. But you could add one bad person into your life and that's kind of it, and you start seeing the impacts of it immediately. Be in a bad relationship romantically, it's not going to take much more than 1 year, if it even takes that, for you to start really being affected by being around the wrong type of person. Same thing with friends. So I would just suggest, instead of outsourcing your security and the way you feel about yourself, being, oh, well, do other people want to be around me? Do other people want to spend space and time with me? I would suggest being so comfortable with being by yourself. I'm not suggesting for you to be antisocial, but I am saying that discernment in being around people. I find that one of the traps for people in their 20s, a lot of the times, is they, so much so, they want to be around people, they want to be liked, they want to be accepted, to the extent where it's to the expense of their own well-being. You're overriding convictions that are important to you. You feel uncomfortable with the stuff that they're asking you to do, but you're doing it anyways, whatever else. But I suggest getting to a point where you pay attention to people, the things that they do, the things that they say, the way that they act in a variety of different situations. And if something about it doesn't sit right in your spirit, take it back to God. You know, don't just be so eager to be in a romantic relationship. Don't be just so eager to have friends. You know, God can give you friends and a relationship that are pure before you, pure before Him. But I just think discernment in your interactions with people, because the wrong people in your life could be such a negative influence on you so quickly. And that's honestly worse. Not that I'm suggesting you go a decade of making bad decisions, because it will catch up to you. But I would suggest not having the wrong people in your life. And so, yeah, honestly, those. Oh, and then I guess I would just say explore. You know, which I'm probably not the best proponent of that. I'm actually starting to do that now. In my 30s, I feel like I'm just now like at a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go try this, and I'm gonna try that, and I'm gonna do this. a little bit more than I used to. I'm still not a social butterfly, and I'm not an outgoing person by any means, but I think that's the thing with All That Jazz, is like, All That Jazz is something that's been on my heart for years to do. And now I know I probably done said stuff that didn't even sound good in this video, but I kind of don't care, because I'm at a point now where I'm like, I'm just gonna do the thing. And that's what I mean when I say go explore, go roller skating, go to London if you don't already live there, go to the beach, go try stuff, do different things, obviously prayerfully, you know, and upon the Lord saying yes that you can and his protection is over you, but just try different things. So anyways, that's all that I have for you in this episode of All That Jazz, and until the next time, peace out.